Hey, it's Wednesday. Time for another Action Figure Adventures video here on SEO Tour Review. Today, Baby Skeletor and I are taking a look at the Hasbro Revolutions San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set for 2017. This was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that contains characters from a whole bunch of Hasbro brands, including G.I. Joe, ROM, Mask, Transformers, Action Man, Visionaries, Micronauts, all combined into one set that kind of goes along with this theme, this Revolution theme of the combined Hasbro universe that they're developing. This is based on a comic book series right now, but eventually Hasbro has kind of told us they would like to move into a movie universe that combines everything. So, let's open this box up and take a look inside. The inside of the package gives us a little bit of a story. Explosion rip across the Earth, and all sides blame Optimus Prime and the Cybertronians. G.I. Joe refuse to go quietly, and they assemble heroes big enough to stop the invaders. Action Man and Mobile Armored Strike Command fight for humanity. But where do ROM and the Micronauts stand? Just like the front page of the comics, it kind of explains who the different characters are. Next to that flap is awesome window packaging showing off all the figures contained within. Transformers, Visionaries, Action Man, Mask, ROM the Space Knight, G.I. Joe, and Micronauts. First up, we're taking a look at Jetfire. If you're a child of the 80s, you remember Jetfire was originally a retool of a Robotech toy. And here we have an all-new version of him, re-released here, looking like he does in the IDW comic book series. He's got really great articulation, which is awesome for me. I always liked the Transformers more as robots than as cars and planes. So I was always disappointed as a kid when Optimus Prime couldn't bend his knees like a normal person. So I really like this thing in robot mode. Tons of great detail. Wrist cannon, opening cockpit, an Autobot symbol. Here's Jetfire in jet mode. Before anybody complains in the comments that I mistransformed this in some way, I'm just going to say I suck at modern Transformers. So my friend Ryan couldn't come over and play today, so I had to figure out how to transform this myself. So if something's wrong, I apologize. This doesn't seem right to me. But anyway, pretty cool jet. It's got all the guns on the bottom there. And of course, he's got the spring-loaded missile launcher that you can stick on the bottom here, but I think that looks ridiculous. The missile launcher is pretty good for taking out Micronauts. Here's MattTrakker from Mobile Armored Strike Command, Mask. Of course, he's wearing his Spectrum mask here. It gives him supervision. No vehicle for him. I really hope that if this whole combined universe thing works, we get more Mask vehicles. Or Mask vehicles in general. But I love the combined scale. This does reuse some parts from a previous Specialist Tracker we got in G.I. Joe line. I'm glad to see them continue it. Obviously, there's some changes in the IDW universe. Some people are for, some people are against. We'll see how it goes. MattTrakker comes with that Annihilator gun from the G.I. Joe line and, of course, his helmet. He's got some web gear on and stuff like that. It's not a bad figure. I kind of like the paint scheme on the uniform better than the original MattTrakker release we got from the G.I. Joe line. Next up, we've got Roadblocks, the heavy machine gunner for G.I. Joe. I find it very interesting that this set is based on the IDW Revolution comic, but this figure is based on G.I. Joe Renegades, a cartoon show that came out and died off. Fans of G.I. Joe have been looking for this figure for a long time. He never got released in that style. So I'm very happy to finally get him. But yeah, they just kind of threw him in here because Roadblock's in that story. Roadblock comes with his machine gun, a holsterable pistol, a knife with a working sheath, a backpack with an elastic band on it. I actually stuck this other knife in there because it seemed like he came with two knives. He's also got a flashlight hidden inside there. Here's a character called Action Man. He's sort of the British equivalent of G.I. Joe, but sort of morphed. There was a UK toy line called Action Force. It was a military toy line. It eventually incorporated a lot of Hasbro G.I. Joe molds, and kind of out of that somehow we got Action Man. A standalone hero, a James Bond secret agent type of guy. We've got Action Man here. He's a little anime inspired there with the hair, I feel like. He's got two submachine guns there, as well as a sniper rifle. I can't help but think of this vintage Mask figure whenever I see that Action Man figure. This is ROM Space Knight, originally based on one of the earliest electronic action figures ROM was a big robot toy that made sounds and did other weird stuff. Really kind of a clunky, large figure. And then there was a Marvel comic to support the toy line, which basically consisted of one figure. And so lots of other characters were created in that ROM universe. It's now all merging in with the Hasbro universe. I think this figure is really interesting because they started with a G.I. Joe body. Those are definitely Battle Armor Cobra Commander's legs. And with a lot of new tooling, ROM has this incredible new torso that, you know, looks like ROM. The great new head really captures his likeness, but it's unlike anything we've ever had before with this rotation point. This is a really interesting figure, and he's got his goofy little ray gun thing there. He's one of the figures I wanted the most out of this set. He's really kind of interesting. Here we have a Dire Wraith, part of a race of these weird shape-shifting aliens that have come to Earth, infiltrated our forces, and are tearing us apart from the inside. A key part of the IDW Revolution comics, Dire Wraiths have taken over and replaced several key members of the G.I. Joe team. It's pretty interesting, but they came out of the ROM comics. It's cool how the figure has these amazing tentacle hands like that. Such a unique thing, but using a G.I. Joe body. I'm pretty sure that's a Duke torso there. And it's got the little emblem on his chest there. The Wraith has a satchel strapped over his shoulder there, and he has an empty holster, but I don't think any weapons came for him. I'm sorry, buddy. Oh, I hate them Wraiths. Next, we're going to take a look at the Micronauts. The original Micronaut line was kind of imported from Japan, similar to Transformers. They were small, G.I. Joe-like robotic characters, a lot of translucent metallic parts, with some bigger vehicles and playset type of stuff. I never had any Micronauts as a kid, so I have no real attachment to them. Biotron here, who's represented very tiny in this line, is one of the few figures I really know from this line. And you can see here with Roadblocks' feet in the shot how tiny these little Micronaut figures are. So this is Biotron and Acroyear, Vanilla Phi and Oberon, Quintilis and Zant, Gamatron, Baron Karza, and Betatron. These guys are extremely tiny, but for their small size, they have a lot of sculpted detail and some pretty decent paintwork. They remind me a lot of the G.I. Joe micro figures that were packed in with some G.I. Joe guys in the 90s, and I just think it's pretty cool that they actually included these smaller characters in this, because they are in the comic book quite a bit. The last figure to take a look at is Leoric, who is from Visionaries, a really interesting toy line from the 80s. They were larger than G.I. Joes. They had holograms on their torsos and on some of their accessories and their vehicles. Very short-lived cartoon show. I'm kind of surprised Hasbro's trying to revive them, but hey, good for them. I'm excited to see them in this toy line. I would buy a box set with just all the Visionaries, actually. I have more attachment to them than I do Action Man or the Micronauts. Similar to ROM, Leoric uses a mostly G.I. Joe body with some new torso pieces there to give him that visionary shape. I love the fact that they used these they used these glitter stickers to represent the hologram. You remember having those laser stickers in the 80s? That's what these look like. And I think that's a good sacrifice. If we can't actually have holograms, that's pretty awesome. I remember looking at the picture on the website, Hasbro's website, when this was first announced, and it just looked like a photoshopped image there, and I thought it was going to be a plain sticker. So I was definitely impressed when I saw this in hand. Even his helmet's removable, which is really nice. So Leoric comes with his helmet. He has a whip and his staff accessory, which is pretty good for him. I didn't take the time to figure out what all his parts are, but I'm pretty sure these thigh pads come from a Zartan figure. I don't even think those boots would probably be that hard to figure out, assuming they aren't new. His torso is definitely different. Kind of like ROM, he has that twist articulation going on. His is down at his waist, though, at his belt line, whereas ROM's is sort of in the middle of his torso. I think what excites me the most about this box set is the fact that we're finally getting Hasbro toy lines in scale with each other, or at least close. The big Transformers like Optimus Prime and Jetfire were always bigger than G.I. Joes, but there were a lot that were way smaller. Mask was very tiny, Visionaries were big. Another toy line by Hasbro that I really want to see in 3 3/4 or /4 inch, Cops and Crooks. That would be so great, but I'm just excited to see these guys kind of all in one build. Look at this, it's ROM, and he's the same size as Roadblock, MattTrakker, and a Visionary. Here's a vintage G.I. Joe Mask and Visionaries figure. you can see how the old lines didn't work together at all. Now with this new style, they're all together in one unified theme. Saves Hasbro some money. It can save Hasbro some money because it can reuse tooling to make these characters. And it gives fans this great opportunity to collect these figures all in one size. And it gives fans the ability to collect all these figures all in one size. That's it, young man. Go to your room. Can't stand up while I'm trying to shoot a video. I know, kids these days, jeez. Now we can finally play with all those great Hasbro toy lines together as one. Thanks for watching this Action Figure Adventures video. Do Baby Skeletor a favor, hit that like and subscribe button.